And so we get to look at this thing today called the pull of desire. Now, there's nobody in this room that doesn't know what the pull of desire is all about, one way or another, good, bad, or indifferent. We all know about the pull of desire. So we're looking at it this way, this week in a way that's going to work for us, is what I'm knowing. And desire is a very, very powerful energy indeed. And I love all the examples in life and history that back this up, and I'm reminded of the one of the great Julius Caesar when he was only a very famous Roman general. And he found himself in that situation that many generals find themselves in. He had to take his troops into battle, and he knew that they were far outnumbered. And so he thought to himself, I've got to come up with some kind of a way, some kind of a plan that's going to ensure that my men can go into battle, and not only that, but win. So anyway, they sailed to the shores of the enemy and landed, disembarked. They took off all of their artillery, all of their supplies, and everything they needed. And then Julius Caesar turned to the captains of the ships and said, now go burn the ships, all of the ships. And they looked at him going, huh? Anyway, they went and they did that. And then when they were all but smoke, he turned to the men and he said, men, he said, our ships have gone up in smoke. We have no possibility of retreating from these shores. So there is only one thing left for us to do. We cannot leave this place unless we win. We must win to live. Onward, men, to victory. And off they went, of course, with the burning of the ships. There was a burning desire growing in each one of those men to be alive at the end of the day and to win the day. And so gripped with the pull of this desire for living and this desire for winning, victory was theirs. They won. And that singular focus is incredible with regard to its power. Desire, when it is singularly focused, is unbelievably dynamic and powerful, and not much can get in its way. And we have to take that example and use it for our good. Use it for our good. So this week, we get to ask ourselves, what is it? What is that one thing within you, within me, that we haven't yet allowed ourselves to experience or to express? What is that one thing that calls us from time to time, or maybe lots of the time? That one thing more than anything else in life that we want to succeed at or achieve in or accomplish. What is that one thing that always shows up now and again? And even for some of us who have buried it so deeply that we don't even hear it, there is something in each and every one of us in this room that wants to be expressed by means of you and by means of me. There's something calling each and every one of us that needs to be birthed by means of you and by means of me. And this week is the week when you and I look at that and see what that is, so that we can this time do it differently. So this week we are all invited to look at that one thing and allow it to bubble up within us freely, unrestrained by the usual reasons that accompany it. All the things that tell us, well, you can't do that. That's just not going to happen. This is too big a deal. This is not meant for you. This is pie in the sky. This is just wishful dreaming. This is never going to happen, but it's a nice idea, you know? So this week it's not going to be like that. You and I are going to allow that thing to bubble up within us in a way that's free of all of the constraints that we normally put upon those constraints, whether those constraints come from within ourselves or from outside of ourselves. We're going to let that idea bubble up and give it the space and give it the opportunity and honor it enough to allow the seeds to take root in our minds so that we can grow a sound mind around that thing, grow a deep deep, strong feeling around that thing, to the extent that we allow that to pervade all that we are, to become within us a magnificent obsession, to become within us something that we're driven by and we must accomplish. We're going to move on it this time in such a way that it has to be realized. That's what we're going to do this week, which we have never done with that one thing before. This week we will take what it is that's calling us seriously. And we're going to give it the space it needs to flourish and to thrive without impeding it through our negativity, all our negation. This time, we're just going to let it be and feel it like it is without judgment, without judgment. And you've got to believe that this is possible for this to happen, because life is on our side. Life wants us to succeed, wants us to achieve, wants us to be all that we can be, which is awesome. But what gets in the way of that? Well, I can tell you from experience in my own life and listening to others over the decades, it is that amazing bad habit of ours that we have accumulated over the years, the bad habit of I can't. We have collected such a collection of I cans from within ourselves, and indeed another great collection of you cans from others outside of ourselves, to the point that as soon as we think of anything new, the first thing that comes to us is, oh, you can't do that. That's not going to happen. What makes you think that, that's the habit, and it's so unconscious now, we're not even aware of it. Well, this week we want to get conscious, and we want to leave that stuff aside and not allow that to touch the desire within us that wants to be realized. Not touch it by any of that negation, but let it be its own beautiful, bubbling self and give it the freedom to be dreamed and imagined and thought about and felt without anything getting in the way of it. The I can'ts must cease and desist. The you can'ts must be put aside. And we must be open and receptive to the good that wants to express itself through us. Oh my goodness me. What is the wisdom of the ages? What is the teaching of this great science and its practice? It is, I think, therefore I can. I feel, therefore I can. I declare, therefore I can. This is the wisdom of the ages, and it is the wisdom we embrace in this teaching. I can, I can, I can. We have to replace and erase all of the I cans with I can. I can. I can. And so we have to remember what we have been made aware of, what we have been exposed to over the years. The great wisdoms of the ages tell us, do you not know that now you are the sons and daughters of God? Do you not know that it is done unto you as you believe? Do you not know that I am with you always? Do you not know that when you bring me your tithes, now tithes means your blessings, it means your goodness, it means your givingness, it means your service, it means everything that you can think of in terms of what it is you have to give, which is time and talent and treasure and anything else you can think of. Well, when you bring me your tithes, then I will open the portals of heaven and I will pour through those portals such blessings that you will not have enough room to receive them. Do we not know this? Do we not know that we are loved with an everlasting and eternal love, that love is creative, that love is supportive, that love continuously gives of itself and gives of itself and gives of itself to each and every one of us according to our needs. And our needs are absolutely determined by what we think and what we feel and what we know about ourselves and about life and about living. That's what determines that. You and I have to be like the little boy who loved horses, the little boy who had a passion for horses. He thought horses, he dreamed horses, he drew horses, he imagined horses, he was one with horses. He grew up in horse territory. And he grew up in very, very dire circumstances, very poor circumstances. And when he talked about what he was going to do when he grew up, he was going to have the best horse farm there was ever. He was going to have horse stables that were going to produce famous horses, champion horses. And people laughed at him and said, oh, don't be silly, little boy, you know, you're never going to amount to much because look at your circumstances. Didn't faze him. Other people pitied him and said, you know, oh, the poor little fella, he's going to be so disappointed when he grows up. Didn't faze him. When he wrote his essay about what it was in his life that he wanted to accomplish and to achieve and handed it in to his grade teacher, and she handed it back to him and said, don't be ridiculous, child, this is never going to happen. Sit down and write an essay that is achievable for me, and then I'll give you a grade. And the little boy smiled and handed back the paper, and he said, no, this is what I'm going to do, and received his 0 point for the essay. It didn't faze him, nothing fazed him. He was one with those horses, and he knew what he was all about. And so, years later, when he came back to town and visited his old teacher and had accomplished and realized all his heart's desire around horses, people had a whole different opinion of the little boy that had now become a very successful horseman. And you see, we have to have that tenacity. We have to have that ability to bring to our desires that we choose to realize and want to realize and believe we can realize. And why is it indeed that things never get off the ground with us? What is that? What stops us? What blocks us? It's because we have these desires. We have these great ideas. We have these great notions. And they are great. And we feel so good when we've had them. And then when we begin to do something about them, we think, oh, I can't. I'll just get on with what we're doing. And it's because we do not bring to this desire, we do not bring to it motivation, energy, determination, hunger, urgency, fervor, power, passion, so that we don't ever develop the magnificent obsession, that pure, undiluted thirst for this thing being realized. And that's what it takes. That's what it took in the little boy. That's what it took in those men fighting for their lives. That's what it took for victory to win the day in both of those circumstances. We don't do that. We just back away from it all because we're not engaged. We're not vested in our desire. We're not willing to think what it takes, to feel what it takes, to dream what it takes, to imagine what it takes, to be what it takes in order for it to take. We're not willing to do and be. That's all. Those are the only two things that get in our way. There's not one person in this room or anywhere on this plane that doesn't have equal capacity to realize whatever good they desire. Not one. Because the only ability you and I need is the ability to think, to feel, to dream, to imagine, to believe. That's the key. These are the ingredients that make the bread of manifestation. And this week you get to make that bread. You get to at least start upon making that bread in order to realize that good in you that really wants to loose itself through you. Get out there and be a blessing in this world. And also make you feel like the creative being that you are, like the intelligent, powerful, dynamic being that you are. Give you the lift that will take you from good to good to good to good, always replicating this process to produce more and more and more and more good by means of your own great good self. and your sense and sensibility in yourself. But for that to happen, you and I must burn the bridges of I cans. We must let them go up in smoke behind us and know that when we do, there's no turning back. It's forward unto victory now. No going back. Always going forward, upward, onward. Always advancing. Always experiencing more and more of ourselves by allowing the infinite intelligence to experience more and more of itself through you and through me. That's how it happens. No more I cans. We have to look at every idea, every desire that comes to us and say to it, I can if I want to. I can if I want to. And if I want to is very important. Do I want to? That's the question. Because if I want to, I can. And nothing and no one can stop me if I want to. Sister Stanislaus, way back when, kindergarten, used to say to us, don't tell me I can't, child. I can't means I won't. Don't tell me I can't, ever. And that's very wise awareness, understanding, and knowledge. I can't means I won't. I don't want to, I'm not in the mood, I'm not ready, it's not the right time, and so on. Okay, well then let's sit in our complacency and get stuck in our slumber and get bogged down with stoppages and blockages and invite all the obstacles in life and living to come and support us in thinking that we can't because it's not the right time or whatever. Or whatever. This is the week, my dear ones, to take that desire, to look at that desire, to see if it is a worthy desire, and say yes to it if it is. And if we say yes to it, to bring to it the backup, the support that it's going to need in order to grow and seed and root and become the fruit and the harvest that we so desire. Now, it's all done in mind, in the inside of your life and living. It has nothing to do with the outside. Whether you succeed, whether you become an achiever, whether you're a non-achiever and a failure, has nothing to do with background and pedigree and education and color and class and creed. Nothing at all. It has everything to do with the way you're thinking and the way you're feeling and the way you see yourself, perceive yourself, and who you know yourself to be. The question is, do you know who you are? Do you really know who you are? Do you know what you are? Do you? Do you know whose you are? You don't just belong to you, you know. You belong to so much more than you. You belong to that which is greater than you are. Not only do you belong to it, you are part of it. Indeed, you are it in individualized material form. That's who you are, which means you have that infinite intelligence within you and its power, which means you're an awesome creator, which means you can speak your word with absolute faith in that word and have that word realized in your life. That's what that means. So, what is it you want? What is it you want? Know it, and then think it, feel it, dream it, believe it. Know that it's there for you and you're supposed to have it, and then bring to it motivation, energy, verve, vim, vigor, zest, hunger, fire, obsessive passion around it. And I can assure you, it will be yours. No ifs, ands, buts, doubts about it. Now, you don't have to take my word for this. Just get out there and prove it to yourself, and you will see that what I'm telling you is so. It's so. So take that thing, whatever that gem is, look at that thing and say it's been long enough on the invisible side of life. It's time now for it to be made visible. And I am the one to make it visible and bring it on home because I can, if I want to. And if I want to, it can be done. But there's a price to be paid, my dear ones. You have to let go of your present thinking mode. You have to let go of your present emotional mode. You have to let go of your normal way of doing and start being the brand new you, the essential you, the best of you, and allow that to be what you're thinking from, feeling from, and doing from. Be in the greatness that is in you, and I can assure you, your life will soar, and you will be the blessing that you are here to be, and you will realize your purpose for self-realization. This is our task this week. Do you think you can do it?
Yes.
Do you want to do it?
Yes.
Then it's done, and so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.